Hello, welcome to the Rio Gaming Nexus YouTube channel. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the video, and thanks for watching.
The untold story of Kinetic Man, master of energy manipulation. We have seen heroes with super strength like Superman, Shazam, Hercules, but we have never seen any quite like Kinetic Man. As his name suggests, this hero has mastered the ability to manipulate kinetic energy. He can absorb kinetic energy from anything or anyone. This means that he can make himself stronger than any opponent, and there is no real limit to how powerful he can get. There are only limits to his imagination. So who is this mysterious hero? Well, let's take a look at the untold story of Kinetic Man, including the one fatal weakness that could end him. But before we begin, I want you all to take a moment to hit that like button below to help us reach our goal of 5,000 likes. Also, stick around to the very end to learn about one fatal weakness that could destroy Kinetic Man. How did he get his powers? What is his backstory? How strong really is he? Let's dive right into it now. When you think of someone as strong as Superman, you might wonder if he was born with his powers. That would make sense. After all, how else could someone become so strong? However, this is not the case at all for Kinetic Man. You see, Calvin Braithwaite got his start in life as an ordinary human being. He had no superpowers, but he was a highly skilled scientist and engineer. Cal worked for a large company called Innovative Technologies Incorporated, where he helped design various types of weapons. These included grenades, landmines, bombs, and even some small drones. But why would someone as smart as Cal work for a military weapons manufacturer? Well, he didn't do it for fun. In fact, he was trying to secretly build up a business for himself. While working for Innovative Tech, he saved most of his salary and used that money to start his own company. The company wasn't going to manufacture weapons, though. Instead, Cal wanted to use his engineering skills to create new technologies that would help the world. Some of these inventions would include advanced medical imaging equipment and prosthetic limbs that allowed amputees to regain much of their mobility. Unfortunately for Cal, he didn't get to enjoy his success for very long. The CEO of Innovative Tech found out about his plans and stopped him from resigning. Then he tried to force Cal to continue designing weapons for the company, but Cal refused, and this led to his termination. This was especially unfortunate because he needed the money from Innovative Tech to fund his research. Without it, he couldn't pursue his dream of helping people, so he started looking for another job. This turned out to be harder than he thought. Most companies weren't willing to hire an ex-employee of Innovative Tech, and those that were willing to hire him only offered him low-level positions. To add insult to injury, Innovative Tech started developing a bad reputation. This was due to a series of controversial weapons they had developed recently, and this made it even harder for Cal to find work. But he was determined to succeed, so he just kept trying to find a job. One day, while browsing the internet for work, he came across a classified ad. It was for a position at a top-secret research facility run by the government. The pay was excellent, and they seemed very flexible with what qualifications they required. So he decided to apply. A few days later, he received an email saying that they had received his application and would be in touch soon. Then he waited patiently for them to contact him. A week went by without hearing anything. Just as he was about to give up hope, he received a call from them. They told him to come to the research facility as soon as possible for an interview. So he quickly drove over there. When he arrived, he was shocked by what he saw. The place looked like a massive high-tech fortress. There were armed guards everywhere, and it was clear that this was not an ordinary research facility. But Cal was determined to find out more, so he parked his car and walked inside. He was then taken to a large room where several scientists were waiting for him. They introduced themselves as members of the Special Task Force, whose mission it was to research and develop new potential technologies that could help the country in times of need. They told him about all the cool things they had been working on, such as advanced cloaking devices and teleportation technology. But then they revealed the project they were most proud of, Project Kinetic Man. This project was designed to create a super soldier with the ability to control kinetic energy. The problem was that they had been unable to successfully grant these powers to a test subject, but When they learned of Cole's unique background, they thought he might be the man for the job. In fact, they had been watching him for months. That's why they knew he owned a car. They said they were impressed with the kind of weapons he had been designing at Innovative Tech. If he could create weapons that harness kinetic energy, maybe he could also use that energy to enhance his own body. But before he could say yes or no, a loud explosion suddenly echoed through the building. The scientists quickly explained what had happened. It was one of their test subjects. He had become unstable and tried to escape, causing the explosion that shook the building. This was bad news for Cole. Now the military would likely try to capture him and use him to further develop Project Kinetic Man. But Cole knew he had to do something, so he quickly agreed to participate in the program. And soon after, he was taken to a lab where they were going to begin the experiment. As they prepared to begin the experiment, the scientists explained to Cal what they planned to do. They would inject him with a serum that would allow him to absorb kinetic energy. But there was a catch. They had no idea what kind of side effects this would cause. It could be that he would gain super strength and durability, but it could also cause him to go insane. Still, Cal was willing to risk it all to save the innocent people who had been caught in the crossfire. So he agreed to be the test subject. The scientists injected him with the serum and watched closely as it coursed through his veins. At first, nothing happened, but then Cal felt a surge of energy throughout his entire body. It was an amazing feeling, like he had never felt before. Suddenly, he was overcome with a sense of power. He could feel every ounce of kinetic energy around him, from the movement of the air molecules to the vibrations of the building. As he explored his new abilities, he realized he could absorb this energy to make himself stronger. He could literally become a human battery, storing up kinetic energy until he needed it. This was incredible, but it was also dangerous. The more kinetic energy he absorbed, the more unstable he became. He could feel himself losing control and becoming overwhelmed by the sheer power surging through his veins. But he pushed through the pain because he knew that if he didn't, the other scientists would try to complete the experiment on someone else. That's when he decided to escape. He broke through the windows and fled into the night. The scientists were stunned. They had created a real-life kinetic man, but they had no idea what to do with him. Should they capture him? Should they kill him? Or should they try to help him control his powers? They argued back and forth, but in the end, they decided to let him go. They believed that if he was truly a good person, he would return on his own, and that's exactly what happened. After running for hours, Cal finally slowed down and took a moment to catch his breath. As he looked around, he realized that he was in an unfamiliar part of town. He was in a poor neighborhood filled with broken buildings and graffiti. But then he heard a sound that made him stop in his tracks. It was the sound of a baby crying. He followed the sound and soon found a young mother struggling to calm her crying baby. Without thinking twice, he rushed over and offered to help. The mother was grateful and quickly explained that her baby was hungry but she had no food to feed him. Cal knew he had to do something, but he was just a scientist. What could he do to help them? That's when he remembered his powers. He focused his mind and reached out his hand towards the nearby playground. He could feel the kinetic energy of the moving swing set, and with a thought, he absorbed it into his body. He felt stronger instantly. Then he turned back to the mother and offered to buy her some formula for the baby. She was hesitant at first, but eventually agreed. And soon after, the baby was fed and the mother was able to relax. As Cal walked away, he knew that this was just the beginning. He had discovered a new purpose in life. He would use his powers to help others and make the world a better place. And that's how Kinetic Man was born. Since then, Kinetic Man has gone on to become a well-known superhero. He has saved countless lives and stopped evil plots from succeeding. His power is truly amazing, and there seems to be no limit to what he can do with it. But this is not to say that he doesn't have any weaknesses. In fact, one of his biggest weaknesses is actually related to how he got his powers in the first place. You see, when he was injected with the serum, it also overloaded his nervous system. This means that he is extremely sensitive to electrical currents. If he is exposed to too much electricity, it can overload his powers and make him go insane. This is why he always wears a special suit that protects him from electrical currents. If he ever gets too close to an electrical source, the current will flow through his suit instead of his body. This keeps him safe and prevents him from going insane. Now you know one major weakness that could destroy Kinetic Man, but what do you think? Do you think you could become a hero like Kinetic Man? What would you do with your newfound powers? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.